Hey guys, welcome to Semantic Studio Umbiamas, conectando Aruba com o mundo via vídeo podcasting. Conectar conosco, compartilhar ideias e histórias para nos inspirar e para nos abrir. Semantic Studio é a plataforma de podcast na Aruba. Follow-nos no Facebook, subscribe no YouTube ou na plataforma de podcast preferida. Escute o podcast preferido que hora e onde está. Semantic Studio, powered by Credits, botiu ideia. Credits educava e prepara abo para vir um empresário exitoso. De business plan, guia personal e préstamo para negócio até com 100,000 forinhos. Vira para mais donho com Credits. Subway. Passa na Subway para o sop, salada, wrap ou flatbread e mais fresco. Com 7 localidades rond Aruba. Nós está cerca de Ibo. Subway. Swing Masters. Organizando events, conferences of weddings, mister de luz, sound, staging, DJ, trussing of flat screen, Swing Masters está claro para ser boa fiesta êxito. Swing Masters. E agora, Semantic Studio é plataforma de podcast de Aruba está apresentar.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good morning if you just woke up.
Good morning if you woke up an hour or two ago.
I did. I had a good time last night. I had a good time.
Lower the music a little bit, it's a little too loud.
There we go.
Thank you.
Tech Impact. Where are we at? Are we at 14?
Producer, what number are we on? 15? 15.
15.
Yes.
Congratulations, Jean-Luc.
Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Yeah, it keeps happening. Yeah, here we go. So introductions. Jean-Luc, go ahead.
As previously mentioned, my name is Jean-Luc. I am a student at the University of Aruba, and I've had an interest in tech and games my entire life.
Bruce Harms here, Cardano advocate, multimedia engineer, and digital evangelist. I think that's cool to say. Everybody's saying it in blockchain. Today we have an very interesting discussion or advocacy subject. Web 3.0.
Web 3.0.
Yeah, and I've been doing some research this morning. And before we begin, I would like to give a shout out to Stefan Oosterwel for a very cool blockchain 101 workshop he did at the university in collaboration with the Center of Lifelong Learning and the Aruba Investment Club.
Yes.
It was great, Stefan. We learned a lot. Since we're not so familiar really with the Bitcoin ecosystem, actually.
Yeah.
Even though it's the original gangster, isn't it? It's the original, the OG.
Yeah.
Let's give a shout out also. A big thanks to our sponsors of Semantic Studio, which is Subway and Credits and
Swing Masters.
Swing Masters. Yes, thank you guys. Thank you so much. We're growing. The family at Semantic is growing, and I'm getting some great feedback for Tech Impact. Seems that a lot of people are watching later on, checking out what we're doing.
I'm glad to have everybody here.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. Web 3.0. It is a huge subject.
But before we get into 3.0,
where are we?
Yeah, What were the other versions? How do we know?
We used to have, if the start of the internet, I guess, would be called Web 2. And I think what I've learned from my research is that was a read website only.
Read website only.
A read website. So, Jeff, can you pull up that picture that we have of back in the day? Do we have that ready? Yes, sir. Here we go. Beautiful. One more time. Yeah, so me and Jean-Luc are looking at it right now. Do you remember that? That's probably predates your heavy engagement with the internet. But yeah, Alta Vista Connections.
Hey, you can see the date. October 23, 1999.
That's when I started my journey to become a web designer. I was like, oh my God, we got to get into this.
Wow.
And I wanted to make a website for Aruba. And who would have thought that about 15 years later, I would have the Aruba app for a little while with some colleague friends of mine. Shout out to my old buddies at Autobook back in the day.
Ooh.
But yeah, this was what it was. And okay, Jeff, you can remove it. Thank you so much.
So that would be Web 2.0?
One.
Oh, that's one. That's one. Okay.
And I've pulled up some articles. Let me fish them out for a second. And Web 2 would be considered, read and write web, right? So we start engaging with these websites. And for example, Amazon, if you bought this, someone else bought that, right? So then it gets a little bit more interactive, I guess, and the rise of richer media and better animation files and whatnot, and also the growth of users. So let me quote here. I will share this link now. Should we do it on Discord or straight up on Facebook?
On Discord.
Discord.
That means they can come back and find it as well.
Yeah. Let me do that for a second. So most e-commerce websites back in those days was eBay and Amazon. They were already part of Web 1. And the next iteration, as it says here at blockgeeks.com, I guess that's a blockchain news website, I guess. The next iteration was in about 2003. It was coined by Dale Doherty, vice president of O'Reilly Media. He said this is Web 2.0, and that was probably the rise of YouTube, right? And social media.
Interactive web pages.
I guess so. And if you think about it, if we break it down, right? Original internet was HTML, hypertext markup language. That's what we went to school for. And of course, that's it's code. And then these codes get more features as more integrations happen with MySQL and PHP and JavaScript.
Yeah.
For example, to send out an email, you use JavaScript for that. So you could create forms of your own and interact with the server to send mails.
I think a good example to see the progression in all of these versions of the web is the way we could contact each other. Very famous back in Web 1.0 would be AOL.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, I don't.
I do.
I just know of it.
When we were teenagers, that was our way to get in touch with people. And that was ICQ. And think about it, ICQ. That was like the first time they used a couple of letters to I seek you.
Oh,
funny, right? That was
nice,
a little flower.
Oh,
I remember that was first time that I was dialing in with a 56K modem. When I was online, nobody at the house could use the phone or call us. And I started talking for the first time with international people. Yeah, and it was also a bit weird.
yeah.
Yeah. There was no internet etiquette, really. So, yeah. But let's continue. If I quote, let's go, what is Web 3 then? Where are we going? And what are the issues we have right now with Web 2? What can we improve for the current state of the internet? What are the problems we're facing?
The biggest issue is the verification of practically anything on the internet.
Right.
Anybody can post and say anything on the internet. And due to relatively recent events, it has been very difficult to be able to navigate through all of the, quite frankly, put all of the shit and muck that can be posted in there. Yeah.
Yeah, we can say anything we want here, buddy.
Yeah.
We're not on television.
No.
Yeah, but I think if we look at, for example, what happens with politics and the issues we have with information right now, where I think it's called malinformation.
Malinformation?
Yeah, I read that. I was reading a lot, so there's a lot to unpack. But the big issues of Web 2 are malinformation, surveillance happening without our, it's covert, really. There's there's a famous, there's a writer that wrote a book about surveillance capitalism, and she's now a consultant at the Biden administration.
Oh, wow.
But besides that, it's very important for people to understand that the internet is not free.
No.
I think that's a big issue. I get that all the time as somebody that creates websites for people, for clients, and there's a huge misconception that internet is free. Whereas, if you really go into that business in any way, form, trying to make an e-commerce website, all the way down to hosting servers, it's very expensive. So we have to understand that websites have a responsibility really to justify the cost of running something. And Facebook, for example, packages your information.
Yeah.
Right. So and people will go, yeah, but who cares, right? But here's the interesting part: the future is that maybe we can get incentives for advertising, right? So right now the system is, Facebook has business tools, and anybody really with a little bit of cash can buy user groups, right, and expose information as long as it's under their guidelines, and their guidelines are pretty open, right? So if I have $10,000 that I can spend on reaching people, I can definitely spend it on the Facebook ad manager or YouTube analytics, but the users really don't have any control or say. They don't even know that's happening with them.
No,
right?
they don't get to necessarily choose what type of ads they are shown.
No, exactly. And it's even YouTube, Now, have you noticed in the YouTube interface that they've now sacrificed the left top for ad YouTube? That was never there. And and that's the interesting thing about graphic user interface and pixel real estate, really, is these changes happen, and it's like forced consent.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Oh, guys, guess what? YouTube has decided that one video there is not for you anymore. Now it's for us to push you. And for example, Google, when you do a search engine search, there's something called, and it took me a while to find out what it's called. It's called Google Carousel.
Carousel.
So if I search, for example, if I come from the States and I search for a seafood restaurant on Google, and then on the browser in a desktop, it will display a map. Then if you click on a certain location or restaurant, it will show all the whole ecosystem of Google that happens on the side. That's a feature that happens with time, and it's probably a part of helping people convert into a sale, right? So a lot of people understand. If you ask somebody what is Google's purpose, it's to give the highest quality information as fast as possible to their users. That's why when you make a website, you have to make it optimized, right? Search engine optimized and all that. But again, if you take a bigger helicopter view, it's all Google.
It is mostly Google,
And what makes me excited about Web 3.0 is that right now, Web 2, it's owned by two corporations, major corporations. We spend our time not with the address on the top. We actually spend time in a sub-website because of all the convenience that's available.
The cookies.
The interconnections, right? So we spend our time on Facebook, Instagram. We have to add TikTok, I guess. WhatsApp, YouTube, Google, and nobody's really exploring the web anymore.
No.
And what Web 3 promises is more transparency and a possibility for digital IDs and digital ownership, and maybe even some powerful tools, right?
Yeah.
So in my little rabbit hole, I actually got to a solution in one shot.
Oh, solution for what problem?
Solution, and a new way of doing things is certain browsers have now started exploring paying you part of what advertisers would pay for reach.
Yeah.
And so, for example, I'll be browsing, and ads get sent to me, and I actually get paid in digital currency. So, for example, one of the reviewers that tried it, it's on the browser called Brave.
Yeah.
So, guys, go check it out.
I've recommended this to you.
Yeah. But now, because we had this show today, I had to do my research this morning. It's a great video. It's actually a behavioral token, they're calling it.
Bat.
And yes, bat. Very exciting. Yeah, tell me, what did you know about it?
So a few years ago actually, COVID has already been going for 2+ years. Crazy. To continue, I started getting really, really annoyed at the ads I was getting on YouTube.
Right.
It was so frustrating. I'm pretty sure that everybody who is from Aruba is very well aware of Crown and their ads. And
right.
It's infuriating, right? And
ads are infuriating in general.
Ads are infuriating, yeah. But especially when they interrupt your experience, right? And I was trying to. I also was not comfortable with the realization of cookies.
Yeah, that's been there for a while, but
I know. But only now I'm getting aware of it. But briefly explain what cookies do.
Oh, okay. And then we'll remember you still have a point to make.
Yes,
and we'll go back.
yeah,
Okay. Cookies are a way of tracking you once you leave the website, right? So, simply explained, if I come into a website to buy something and I accept a cookie, that means that when the statistic is when I come into a website, my session starts, right? And that's a Google Analytic measurement.
You're connected.
And what they do is when you leave, they'll, put a little data of, okay, your session was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The cookie enables the website owner or marketeer, whatever you want to call it, to keep a connection with you. And they can actually, when you go somewhere else, they can actually push you specific targeted ads to you. Every single news site in the world, you cannot view anymore.
Yeah, without
a
accepting
cookie.
cookies.
Without
That's
accepting
so
cookies.
frustrating.
Well, this is where we're at with Web 2, and that is the problem. They don't know how to shift their earning model, right?
Yeah, but so I was trying to find a solution to that, right? I want to be able to browse websites, not get bombarded with ads. I was getting into crypto, and I was really uncomfortable with cookies. And then I've read about this browser called Brave that has it's based on Chromium, which is basically the infrastructure of Chrome. So
it's open source code.
Yeah,
yes.
So I was very familiar with how it works already, instead of learning an entire new browser. And it had pre-installed into the browser ad blockers and cookie blockers.
Right. Yes.
And but you still view ads, right? But the thing is now for every ad that you view, they pay you just a little bit of crypto. And that's still amazing. And another interesting thing that they do is that they are currently working with some websites. The biggest one that I can remember now is being Twitter. That with the BAT tokens that you can collect at the end of every month by watching ads, you can send them to the creators that you want to support.
Yeah, that's what I love. And we talked about internet culture in a previous show, and I'm always explaining this to people when I'm doing workshops or advocating certain things, is that instead of thinking in influencer terms and big reach, like let's think in community building. And the fact that that's successful, you can just look at Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Kickstarter is about, hey, I have a story, and can you help me directly? I don't want to go to a bank or an investor that basically is throwing his overshot of cash. There's too much cash that he has to own a piece of your business. Whereas, why don't you pre-buy? Right? It's a great concept. And usually the successful stories are a good narrative.
Yeah.
It has to be something that has community impact. It's cheap, or people believe you that you want to do well. Another example is Patreon.
Yeah. Directly supporting your
content creator, because to be honest, if you and me would decide to start a YouTube channel, that's why Soppy Mix is so great. We're dealing with our community directly, but to even attempt to become a YouTuber, right? You are working very hard, because it's very tough to make great content. That's tough. You have to become a content professional with the risk that you'll be paid 0.0007 cents forever.
Yeah.
And but maybe you can get direct support of your viewers. So Patreon is sort of a bypass. Right? It's a bypass to YouTube earning infrastructure. And I've been looking for other media sites maybe to start.
Yeah.
I think there's a big future in Vimeo.
Vimeo?
Vimeo?
No idea.
How do you spell it?
How
how do you pronounce it? Excuse me.
I pronounce it Vimeo. Instead
Vimeo.
of video, Vimeo. Because it's an M instead.
You're probably right. I pronounce things super weird. Like what we did with our sponsor. It's credits, not Reddits. Yeah, so Brave, are you earning crypto?
Yes, I am earning crypto using Brave, but I did not expect, nor do I want others to have the expectations that you would be able to, in any way, shape, or form, live off of this or use it in for yourself, right?
It's not a business.
It's not a business. It's not a lot of earnings, but it is still earnings nonetheless.
It's still better than
Nothing.
exactly and
Yeah.
being bombarded, and it's a model that might grow.
And you
ahead.
get to choose whether you want to be shown ads at all, a little bit, or more. And the incentive is that the more ads you completely watch, the more BAT you are rewarded. And BAT is the native token that the Brave browser rewards you at the end of each month. And the amazing part is that you don't need to make a wallet or install a wallet on Brave for you to earn the BAT. It's going to be saved on your browser.
Yeah.
But it's when you want to go and use that BAT and transfer it or maybe convert into other cryptos that then you would be required to create a wallet.
Nice. When you see the video talking about BAT, right? I really like that. Did you know that he's one of the co-founders of Web1 browsers and source code.
Oh, wow.
And when you look at that video, how he explains this model, we're in the early stages.
Oh, yeah,
right?
definitely.
It's not really. It's just they're trying it out, but I think that there's a lot of potential there, and creating a much more direct relationship with advertisers, or excuse me, businesses that use that framework to advertise. Right? That's going to be interesting, and I think. Go ahead.
So to further help people understand, right? Brave would be closer to Web 3.0, right? So what would be the key differences and what makes it closer to Web 3.0 than compared to just Chrome or Safari?
You mean being paid crypto to be pushed ads?
Not necessarily. So what's the difference in experiences on the different browsers that would be a good example of what it would be like to be browsing through the internet in Web 3.0 instead of 2.0?
Oh, that's a tough one for me to answer because I'm kind of learning as I go. But what we should do is just go through that list a bit.
Okay.
So let me. I do have it saved. So let's pull it up. I've been going through a couple. I also found something called Permission, which is creating these articles about Web 3.0, and they also have a incentive-based browsing for crypto.
Nice.
But I think they're brand new. They're you can see they're investing in SEO a lot. But Brave is the browser integrated. What I didn't like about Permission, it's called permission.io, is that I have to upload that whole my passport and whatnot.
You have to confirm your identity.
Confirm my identity.
Yeah.
I was a bit lazy this morning to do that. I don't like taking pictures of myself on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
I feel a bit. I had a one beer too many.
That's fine. So while you're looking up, I want to explore what I think the key differences is, right? So a big thing in what I think would be Web 3.0 would be autonomy, right?
Autonomy.
Autonomy, yeah.
Yeah.
And being able to choose and directly support your creators.
Yes.
Or content creators or websites even, right? So currently, if you go on your Safari and you go and visit YouTube, you're going to have an ad on the side. You're going to start the video and there's probably going to be one unskippable ad and then an extra ad on top of that, so that you can choose to skip it if you want to not support your creator. They kind of guilt trip you about that.
Guilt trip.
Yeah,
There you
a
go.
little bit. Yeah. They make you feel bad, you know. And then you leave YouTube, right? And then YouTube is still keeping track of you, still looking at what you do, right? So that they can keep pumping you the right ads, because
Right.
it's all under the Google infrastructure in the back. You go on your Amazon, you click a few things that interest you, and then all of a sudden, when you go back to YouTube because you got bored of Amazon, you're getting ads of what you just looked for on Amazon.
Right. That's called retargeting.
Yeah.
Through cookie
Yeah.
technology. There you go.
So on Brave, it would be you get 2 ads instead of 4, right?
Yeah.
And you can either choose to watch them or you can ignore them, right? And then you go visit Amazon, and YouTube's not following you.
Right.
There isn't a continued session because of the cookie blockers, right?
Right.
And you go visit your creator back on YouTube, and you were really happy with the show, and you had an extra batch to spare, so you decide to support them and send them a view, some of their way if they have that available as well. And the thing is you're not constantly being tracked by all of these ads, all of these data analytics companies anymore. Now you get to directly choose who you support.
Yes, I think that is a great way to look at it. More transparency, less covert surveillance, right? So those are to answer the question. The problems of 2.0, Web 2.0, is exactly that. So there's surveillance capitalism, right? It's covert. That's happening. There's a lot of phishing and scamming happening because that's another thing about Web 2. People with bad intentions can make a website, copy another website, and then in the space of cryptocurrency and even traditional, a lot of scamming and happens because you could send an email. That's what phishing is. You know, they send an email, and PayPal, you owe PayPal $90, and a lot of people go, yeah, but I don't want this to continue, so they pay it.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I got phished heavily from Holland, and then when you do the research, I got sort of like a incasso, right, in Dutch, and I was down 90 euros, and I'm like, huh? And then I log into my PayPal, and I don't have a Euro account, and then I got it like 3 times, and then I got a personal message.
Oh wow!
And then I called the number, nobody picks up, and then I click on the website. There's a nice website, but then if you go look at it on the maps, it's non-existent. So it's obviously phishing. So people, when you see something, don't jump on it. Do your due diligence.
Yeah.
And that's the internet due diligence. And hopefully in Web 3, they're going to start negating that. But there's one problem with that as well.
Tell me.
Web 3 is going to be hard to understand if those don't do it. We have to start teaching people what the internet is going to become.
I can see how that can be an issue, right? But a lot of people are already agreeing that it is kind of a skill to be able to navigate the internet.
Yeah.
You need to know what to look out for. You need to know when the site is not the original site. You need to be able to make sure that you have an HTTPS instead of just an HTTP, for example.
Yeah, and that's going to be my next thing. Let me give it to you. I'm going to quote blockgeeks.com.
All right.
The 4 properties of Web 3.0. Semantic Web. We're going to go through that a bit. Artificial intelligence.
All right.
Ubiquitous. Let's go through that because I didn't know what that meant either.
Okay.
I do know about ubiquity as programming, right? And 3D graphics. So Semantic Web is where computers talk to each other.
But how far does that go?
It goes all the way.
Oh.
Yeah. So let me quote it. We have the time, right? So property 1, Semantic Web. And we're going to quote Tim Berners-Lee. I have a dream for the web in which computers become capable of analyzing all the data on the web. The content, the links, the transaction between people and computers. A semantic web which makes this possible has yet to emerge. But when it does, the day-to-day mechanisms of trade, bureaucracy, and our daily lives will be handled by machines talking to machines. The intelligent agents people have touted for ages will finally materialize. And it's kind of already there.
It is getting there.
It's just that now it's in Google's hands.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah,
that's huge data. They're learning so much. And it would seem that it does come back to almost a theological question of free will. But let's not do that today.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's an example. What is the difference between I love Bitcoin, written ILUVE Bitcoin, with I bracket 3 that looks like a heart? That's our internet culture, right? Bitcoin. And the syntax is totally different, right? And the computers have a rough time with that. But it's gonna start
Realizing
being able. Yeah, it's gonna start realizing that, and then. Also more, how many people logged into the Olympics, right? And they can't do that because the AIs are not capable of that just yet. But the interweb, right, the semantic web, will be able to pull it from television, pull it from YouTube, and then give you a straight answer. You get it?
I get it. But why would it be a good thing?
Oh, well, you're thinking in all of these risks, right? But that's why decentralization, and digital ownership will stop that, and transparency to advertisers.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
So if you have that as a checks and balance, but the semantic web is better than
Google and Facebook.
Basically leaving on one or two corporations, right? And that's where we're at. The Web3 promises to move away from that ownership, from that monopoly, really. Property 2, and remember, that's the semantic web. That means the capability of it all communicating with each other. What that can do for prediction for climate change, for example,
Yeah, for politics.
Well, no. Gewoon predicting the future, literally, right? Predicting the future so we can make great decisions. You're still thinking in covert and the abuse.
No. Now I went too far. Yes.
Yeah, you went a bit too far.
Yeah.
Let's stick to the basic premise of the 4 coined by BlockGeeks, the 4 properties of Web 3.0. And artificial intelligence, that's obviously already kind of happening.
Yeah.
But the corporations own the monopoly. But if you log into AWS, for example, which is Amazon servers, they have that as a tool, and anybody can use it. And again, here we go, Amazon, another big conglomerate. 3D graphics.
That I don't really understand.
I also struggle with that one because as gamers, right, or as people that immerse a lot into
the digital space,
digital experiences, I just think we don't know really if it can integrate with the Internet of Things, right?
Yeah. Navigating the 3D website would be a little bit annoying, to be honest.
No, that's annoying. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I do imagine parallel worlds being created that are accessible. So we don't know yet what the phone is going to be able to do, right? So augmenting reality and 3D reality.
We did not know it would go this far.
When that break
on that car was created, and you could call somebody across America, and now we're here. You're right.
Basically, everybody owns a computer.
Yeah, everybody owns a mini computer. Yeah,
exactly. And semantic web, you also have computing power, right? So scalability is the issue of Web 3.0. That's one of the issues. So whoever comes up with the technology that can carry it, and I think encryption and compression. And I mean, we will always have a problem with bandwidth.
Yes.
There will never be enough bandwidth. So there's going to be a lot of investment happening in innovation in compression and efficiency and low energy imprint. These are the challenges of Web3. Because it's very easy to say, yeah, it's all going to be semantic, but that means there's a lot of computing
There's
power.
a lot of
happening,
energy being used.
Exactly.
Maybe it could be run on a blockchain.
Here we go. You're not going to like, it's funny. Today you are the more, you're afraid of it a little bit, right? You're having a healthy skepticism.
Yeah.
Right? And usually I'm that guy. But here it comes. Ubiquitous means the idea of existing and being everywhere. It is kind of the same as omnipresent. Right? So what they're saying is that right now, so Web 1 was internet through a telephone line. At your desktop.
Yeah, you had to dial in. Yeah.
Then Wi-Fi technology, right? And then telecommunication and mobile phones came. And then they morphed into mini computers. And now we have a sort of interphone, Wi-Fi, satellite infrastructure of the internet.
It practically is already omnipresent.
Yes and no.
How much?
Do you feel like the internet is available everywhere?
No, still.
Right. Now imagine if internet has no holes anywhere.
Oh.
Right?
All right.
Ubiquitous.
All right.
Omnipresent. And who's pushing for that? For Web3? Who's doing it?
Wasn't that Elon?
Absolutely he is. Yeah. And they're competing, right? So
the satellites,
all these
system.
space agencies and listen, I love space. I'm an astronomy geek.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you look at the incentive of, I think it's called Blue Planet. Which one is Jeff Bezos' space program?
I don't remember.
Well, anyway, he has one. You guys can let us know. And Elon Musk has one. But their whole business is going to be low orbit satellite technology. Right? So with these low orbit satellites, because they're tiny, you don't need that. The computing power is so powerful now and so small that what they're going to do is create frames, like 7,000 constellations of satellites that move over the world. And basically the remaining 60% or 50%, whatever the percentage is of the world not being online, is going to get the internet.
The way I view that is that, so now not everywhere you have internet, right? And sometimes you run out of data, so you can't access it.
Yeah.
Which might be an issue later. But I'm imagining it now as you will always have permanent access to the library of man.
The library of man. I love that.
Because that's what the internet is.
The library of man.
Yeah.
Kind.
Mankind, yeah. Of humankind.
That's a problem, right?
It could be.
I mean, I just saw a video about a camera because I've been taking more pictures lately, landscape photography. And then in the video, he started, and on the top of the building, there was a big sign that says, "I don't believe in dinosaurs." So, in conceptually, yes, the library, we're already there. That's what Google's for, right? The problem with Google now is that I can bypass knowledge with a little bit of cash.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to the challenges, right? So you've got all of these, I think it's called lies for profit businesses, right? So we're going to go a little bit outside of tech a little bit, but see and kind of point at something.
Okay.
So, for example, in certain political movements and parties, there's this symbiosis between, we need to keep power, so we're going to push pseudoscience.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to push a little pseudoscience. We're gonna throw a monkey wrench in some concepts like climate change and petrol and whatnot. And then what happens? Certain people come and I'm the guy that will help you push this, and I want your audience, and they'll write books about it, and it's not peer reviewed. And that's the issue of the web, not the web, just the way that production has come to the consumer. Like anybody can create a book. Anybody can create a video. I mean, if you were trying to create videos in the 70s, you would have to really push through to get the right equipment.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Now you have your phone.
Not exactly. I mean, talking heads. I always tell some older friends of mine that fall victim for this, right? They're the easiest target because they don't understand information. So if they see a picture and the words are imprinted in it and Keanu Reeves' head is on it and his signature, he said that. right? And you and me were like, no, it's Photoshop.
The famous joke that Abraham Lincoln said, you should never believe everything on the internet.
What? Abraham Lincoln?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get it now. Oh, that took a while. That's good. That's
It would
good.
be a picture of Abraham
That's good.
Lincoln, and it says, quote, never believe everything that's placed on the internet. And
Oh,
it quotes
man.
Abraham Lincoln.
That's a great one. Yeah, so going back to that symbiosis, right? It happens in bigger forms online, and I'm kind of hoping that we're going to tackle that with technology, right? And the right kind of people. So we are always about open source.
Yeah.
Open source is the way because open source means that we all have access to what's going on. And you can take your source code and then close it up later, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, buddy, all right, what are you up to? Why aren't you on the chain? Where are the transactions? Let me give you some risks. Since yours being the skeptic of the day, here at BlockGeeks, the advantages and disadvantages. So let's go through some advantages. Increasing information linking, Semantic Web will help in the connectivity of online data.
That'd be great.
That'd be great. Assuming the best part of it.
Yeah.
Efficient searching, better marketing, more efficient web browsing, effective communication, and change human interaction. It's like weird. That should be in Web 2.0 already, right?
I think what they mean is it would change it even more.
Yes.
Because it has had a great impact on human interaction already.
The disadvantages. Less advanced devices will not be able to handle Web 3. True. So that's an issue for our low voltage computing, maybe.
People are already complaining that their iPhone 8 can't update to the latest iOS, but that's a different issue.
Yeah. What did you call it? Forced obsolescence?
Planned
obsolescence. Yeah. Well, still get a Mac. You get more out of it. Okay. And it can be very complicated for newcomers to understand. And that's where that abuse risk lies, right? So again, I think that's why a show like Tech Impact, I think from now on, we will be doing Web3 because that's our business, really. There's no other way. We won't stay stagnant at Web 2 because if we do, that means there's 4 corporations that owns us all.
Yeah.
And I actually believe that the internet was intended to help mankind become what did you just call it?
The library of humankind.
The library of humankind, but of course it's not only a library anymore. It is a place of economy, it's a place of connection, it's a place of business, it's a place of solutions. I mean, if you look at the good things that happened in the era of Web 2, once upon a time, the hacktivist group Anonymous was helping people.
Yeah.
Right?
They
And then it branched off and it became one big, maybe
that was inevitable.
they got destroyed by, whoever didn't want that to happen.
Insiders.
Stop. That's not
Okay, sorry.
the name that shall not be mentioned, But one particular story of that I really enjoyed was Egypt.
Exactly.
And the military state and how they control the internet, right? So the government literally censored and created a hermit information country. And then the hacktivist group in those days
taught them how to set up their own connections.
Yes. Yeah. And people need to understand that hackers usually do it to find solutions.
Yeah.
A hacker is an engineer, really. Another interesting story was one of those hackers, because I saw this on Vice, used a CD-ROM laser. Listen to this. This is crazy. Used a CD-ROM laser and some sensor technology and camera technology, and he could create a wall around a building. Every single mosquito that would come in, the laser had the ability to pinpoint it and shoot it.
Shoot it out of the sky?
Shoot it out of the sky. Yeah. And you don't have to use pesticides. We're talking about places with malaria, right? And he was telling a story that a lot of people don't understand. I'm trying to create things. I used little bits and pieces, and I created this wall, and it was super efficient. Now, of course, you can turn that into, literally a Star Trek space weapon if you have the right kind of laser.
Yeah, put that on a spaceship. Done.
Done, right? But that's how I still believe in some hackers out there that want to do good. And
of course.
yeah. And I think the worst motivator, the greatest motivator for criminal activity is poverty. Right?
Yeah.
Poverty motivates criminality usually. I mean, look at Mexico. I mean, and I still believe that Web 3.0, if done right, we can give upward mobility to most people in the world. And what is also interesting that these low orbit satellites, right, are designed specifically to do that for communities in, for example, Africa that don't have infrastructure to catch up to people like us here on Aruba. Here on Aruba, we have everything. We've got banks and education and computers.
We have a full infrastructure.
We have a full infrastructure. And can you imagine in these cities in Ethiopia that simply can't wait that long? You can't wait 15 years or 20 years for that kind of infrastructure. And Web 3.0 actually enables that. So if you go that direction, there's low orbit satellites. Phones are computers and they're cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I bought a Samsung A1 for 250 guilders at Bulchan's. My 2 bags at the groceries with good food was 350. Yeah. So anyway, all right, guys. We'll be sharing these links with you.
Did you post the Discord link?
I'm gonna do it after the show.
Okay.
And if you have any questions for us, let us know. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
Wait. Let me look at time to be sure. Yes, 2 things.
Sure.
My thought process behind my skepticism, right?
Okay.
The scariest thing that could happen would be if Facebook and Google would be the ones that would set up this semantic website. And that sounds very Orwellian to me.
Orwellian. Okay.
Yeah,
George Orwell, people,
George
1984.
Orwell, 1984.
Big Brother's watching.
Big Brother is already watching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that they would set up the entire network of robots that are communicating to each other, and Google chooses who gets to see that information, is horrifying. Horrifying.
Your thoughts?
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Well, that won't happen if we, help the community, and it's all about people, really.
Yeah.
And convenience is the enemy sometimes. Convenience. Facebook login option, right? Make an account with your Facebook account. And Facebook has done great things, really. But now we have to be a little bit more skeptic.
Yeah.
Be skeptic with where do they want to go? They've already they have a information checker, right? So now they have moderators that start fighting misinformation.
Yeah.
Great step forward. They kind of have to, really, because their users are important. Will you ever pay not to get advertised?
Yes.
Me too. I look forward that on Aruba we can pay $4 a month and leave me alone. I just want to watch YouTube like I watch Netflix. And I think that's where we start. I sometimes watch a bit of YouTube and like, okay, enough ads. Enough. Let's go to Netflix.
Since I use Brave, I can't relate.
Oh, and another reminder of Web 1 and Web 2. Last story, guys. Have you ever heard of the peer-to-peer sharing software that was called Napster?
You've told me about this, yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, when I think you were just born, right? 1999.
Yeah.
Somebody shout out to Alto Vista. We got a comment on our feed. Napster was crazy because you could download Napster and you would never ever have to buy the CD anymore. You'll get the music, and it was peer-to-peer. So if I had Napster, I shared my library of MP3s, and then somebody else had Napster, and they did that whole peer-to-peer database.
Yeah.
And you can probably imagine how that went down in 1999, 2000. They got sued, right? But the moral of the story really was, and it was a big deal with Metallica.
Yeah.
Metallica wanted to sue downloaders. Yeah, they went
Finding and downloading the
they
song.
went after fans, and it was a big deal.
Oh,
It was a
wow.
lot. It was worldwide news, and they got a lot of crap for that. They got a lot
course.
of crap because let's argue that for a second. The internet, it's available. It's online. You can download it.
Yeah.
You're using it. So you're a criminal? That was the question, really. Am I a criminal? Am I a criminal because I downloaded a software that was available on the internet and it was programmed, and I bring it down, and my personal library that I chose to share with the community, why am I now liable? Why am I a pirate? And in the end, let me answer it for us both. In the end, the business changed. That is the birth of subscription-based content. If that did not happen, we would be renting and paying in a traditional sense, just but done in e-commerce, right? So we would have had shops, just like for normal items. We would have an Amazon for music, but because of that, what are we gonna call the creator of Napster? Was he a criminal? He used to argue, no, the industry has to change with the internet.
Yeah.
We have to come up with new models, and that's the moral of the story.
That's what happened.
And because of him, and he landed on the sword, and he never saw anything. But it's because of that Spotify is now Spotify.
Yeah.
And Netflix and Hulu and Apple Plus. Look at Apple. Apple had the biggest online digital store in the world. iTunes. It still is.
It still is.
But they have to shift.
Yeah.
Now they need subscribers. They need to compete in the new market. And knowing that and knowing where we're going with Web 3.0, I'm kind of hoping we re-empower people and innovators and artists. And let's leave it at that, because next week we'll continue, Tech Impact will continue its journey, giving people tips and learning what we're learning as we go.
Yeah.
Because we are about Web3, but it has to be empowering, right?
Very much so.
Anything else?
The Discord link that's going to be posted is only going to work until next week this time.
Yes.
So click it while you can.
Click it while you can. So again, thanks to our sponsors, Subway, Swing Masters, Credits. Thanks to the Soppy Mix Studios for letting us do this. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Have a great weekend.
Great weekend. We're out.